Early access games have become somewhat of a staple in the games industry nowadays. Now, whenever a company is unsure if their product will sell well, they'll plop a blatantly unfinished game onto Steam with no regards for quality control, gaining sympathy due to its early access status. I mean, what better way to gauge reception on new IPs and ideas by releasing an unfinished product and updating it incrementally until one fateful day in the year 4000 when the last bug fix drops and it can finally be considered a finished product. Now, I'm not usually too keen on pouncing on newly released early access games. That's the way to set up for disappointment most of the time. But Gloomwood was something that I've been following for quite some time now, and I figured that the time was right to see how much of the game was actually playable so far. So consider this an early access video in and of itself to some project in the deep distant future, as I'll inevitably make a follow-up when the game is actually finished. Because what you're paying for right now is a 2 to 4 hour stealth combat experience that mixes ideas and mechanics from immersive sims like Thief and the minimalist yet retro throwback presentation most New Blood titles are comprised of. Personally, I really enjoy New Blood as a studio. Well, I guess saying that would be a bit of a stretch because the only other game I've played of theirs extensively was Dusk with Medieval and Ultra Kill, unfortunately rotting in my long backlog. Eventually. Anyway, let's get to this first impression, shall we? I'll be playing on Half Moon for this playthrough to lower the two currently available difficulties. You'll be hearing me using the phrasing currently available a lot during this review, as this game isn't fully made yet, if I didn't make it obvious enough by my earlier ramblings. As an early access product, Gloomwood is currently a preview to an excellent, well thought out game years away from fulfilling its true potential. But now that I bought and experienced the opening hours for myself, I can safely say that, in terms of what quality we should be expecting, Gloomwood has a surprisingly bright future, and I think we're in good hands with New Blood. As the game starts, we wake up in some convenient prison bone hole, locked up in some sort of demented prison cell. Two guards show up, and I kinda ignore what they say and throw a bucket at this dude. Something, transport me to the city gates, something. Right off the bat, the atmospheric setting really stood out to me. Despite the low poly models, albeit deliberately low poly, the sense of dread and despair this game attempts to pull off passes with flying colors, even if the game isn't afraid to occasionally shower you in pitch blackness at times. Change the contrast if you want, but the darkness really adds to chilling locations, although I can see how it can get overbearing. By the way, I definitely would have put subtitles on so I could see what some of the NPCs are saying during moments where their voices get drowned out by some ambience or other sounds, but unfortunately, the subtitles aren't safe from the early access curse.
Kidnapped and brought here, of all places.
We learned from a mysterious voice that we were kidnapped and thrown in here, but there's still hope for us to survive. He gives us our first item, a ring that informs us of how visible we are to enemies. It's definitely a great mechanic for this type of game, as stealth is heavily emphasized due to how dynamic the lighting system is and how the AI functions. The old man then sends us off on a journey to a lighthouse, in which he will give us further instructions when we get there. It's enough plot to get us into the swing of things, and I'm sure the full game will have a more fleshed out narrative. These environmental details are wonderful. They add so much complexity to the world building without interfering with the gameplay. What is that, a dead guy? Shame. He was probably waiting a long time for this game to come out. Thus, a tutorial ensues, explaining how to crouch under wooden pillars, lean with Q and E, and sneak around enemies. Standard tutorial stuff, I guess. Oh, you could also pick up physics objects, like Dusk. That's pretty cool. We'll get to the inventory in a little bit. If I had to describe this game using pre-existing franchises, I'd probably consider it a Thief game with some notes of psychological horror sprinkled into it. Despite its length, the game definitely nails the unsettling feeling of dread present in the most prevalent and terrifying horror games, but because of its short length, the tension created by said dread isn't acted upon just yet. After sneaking around a few steamy rooms and reach some definitely important lore notes, you'll find your first weapon in a gramophone, which is how you save. This cane sword thing is fairly useful, able to instantly down guards with a stealth backstab and not being too shabby in the direct combat department. However, for the most part, you'll see that purposely engaging the enemy is usually not the wisest of ideas, as guards will not only double up more often than not, leading to deadly fisticuffs that usually led to a net loss of resources, but also the chance for more guards to hear the fight and then join in. Later on, you'll be given access to a revolver and a shotgun with scarce ammo crates littered throughout the explorable world. This makes combat more manageable, but you should definitely try to steer clear as much as you can. Sound, much like sight, plays an extremely important role in this game, as footstep sounds are impacted by what surface you're sneaking or walking on. This means that, depending on the surface and its material, guards may hear your footsteps from different ranges. Jumping can also alert guards to your position, but so can throwable items. Bottles, pitchforks, and other weird miscellaneous physics objects can be tossed around the environment to make a distraction, Hitman style. I'll be making a video on that franchise sooner or later. Anyway, distractions are a great method to get guards to turn their backs on you, allowing for quick and seamless stealth attacks. Not only that, but some guards have keys on their back that can be swiped off of them. You can store these items in your inventory alongside weapons, money, ammo, and other useful trinkets. The inventory is visualized by the suitcase UI, in which you can rotate items or make them fit, like in the Resident Evil games. Again, as I've said before, since the items as of now are limited, this mechanic will most likely have more weight when the game resembles a finished product, but now I'm going to stop bringing that up and just review what was put in front of me. You'll eventually stumble onto this room with a health injector and a treasure chest with some loot in it. At this point, through this door over here, the game opens up substantially. More pathways are opened up, you can traverse vertically onto the roofs and enter the highest floors of the building through the windows, or explore the pier and take out some guards. The initial burst of freedom is pretty great, but what really stands out is the interconnectivity present within the world structure. You see, more often than not, a gramophone save point will have two doors that lead to it. One door that introduces it as a safe haven, and another door that links back to it later after completing or finding an area. This game certainly gives off Metroidvania vibes to a certain extent, but of course it's more focused on the movement-to-movement stealth rogue gameplay rather than finding upgrades to your core moveset. Despite this burst of openness and interconnectivity, I rarely felt lost or clueless throughout the game due to the subtle yet omnipresent landmarks and distinctive features many areas had. Later locations, like in the caves, may seem confusing to navigate at first glance, but many of the pathways toward progression are distinguishable enough to pick out at a glance, removing any possible layers of confusion the world could have had. The distinctiveness of the locales prevented me ever from feeling lost in the world, despite the game's retro-inspired aesthetic. With that said, I definitely don't think this game is trying to imitate a retro game. It's doing something better, something that all of New Blood's catalog does with resounding success, taking the best of both worlds. It takes aspects of older games that people loved while combining it with the polish and lessons that were respectively honored and learned throughout the video game industry's rapidly advancing, albeit brief, lifespan. Now, this game seems like the best game I've ever made from the description of it, but is it perfect? Nah, not really. I haven't found any particular glitches or anything while playing, and it ran well overall despite some dips in performance that could be most likely attributed to my setup. But sometimes the game can feel a bit too full of itself. Like it can get really dark at times, almost eye-strainingly dark in certain areas, even with the contrast slightly high. I get it, it's for immersion and tension, but sometimes it goes a bit too overboard for its own good. The minimalist HUD, which calling it that is very generous, as the only heads-up aspect of the UI being the crosshair, may put some people off, and ammo must be checked by holding down the reload button, and bullets are placed one by one into the guns, but for me, I think this is a rare exception of a mechanic or decision made for the sake of immersion or realism, paying off for the gameplay front as well. It adds tensity, but people may not be accustomed to having the exact information at their fingertips. On the contrary, let's discuss health. You can get away with this in COD games, but it doesn't fit this game very well. If something skeuomorphic in games showed the player's health as a physical object, part of the view model, like how the ring shows the brightness level, then that would have been a better system to communicate the player's current health without sacrificing immersion. But honestly, these nitpicks are fairly superfluous to my one main criticism with the game, which is that, simply enough, I want more of it. Huge surprise at this point, I know. But for a measly early access teaser being sold for $20, it's too damn promising to be left in the dust. I have faith that New Blood will see it to the end, and that the game will one day be considered finished, and probably really good. Apparently they're making an attempt to listen to community feedback about what's currently available so far, but in the end, the game feels too good to be played unfinished. Also, these immersion-breaking coming soon signs that tease the future areas are just pretty funny to me. Play the early access preview if you want, but personally, I just wait for the game to be fully completed. It's got the introduction and basic setups down, all it needs to do is raise the action and stick to conclusive landing. New Blood, all power to you, and good luck. Thanks for watching the video. If you like what you saw and you haven't already, subscribing would be really helpful to me. If we can get 500 subs, then I can post community posts, polls, and have a more direct way to communicate with you guys, so please subscribe. It would mean the world to me. The Cruelty Squad video is still in development, no promises on the release date yet, but it's definitely shaping up to be something huge. As for more future videos, we'll see. Let me know if you guys like these smaller review videos. I think it's a better solution to post something smaller, yet still quality buffer videos about more relevant and reactionary content, rather than waiting for 3 months without an upload. Yeah, I'll never do that unannounced again, I promise. The next video will most likely be something different. I highly doubt I'll be finished with the Cruelty Squad video by next week, but it could happen, I guess. Don't count on it. I have ideas for videos in the meantime, so stay tuned for them. My Snapchat is MichaelMcGurk19, and I post irregular updates and stuff on my story, so that's where any schedule changes or updates will reside until I can use community polls. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.